Get ready for a very special America's Most Wanted. Tonight, we go back to Oklahoma City. 6 years ago, the bombing here ripped a hole through the heart of America. I came to the scene. I talked with grieving families, and I met heroes who risked their lives. This week, we came to visit the victims as they awaited Timothy McVeigh's execution. And we were there when they got the shocking news. Once again, justice will be delayed. Tonight, we're still standing with the victims as they await final justice.
It's Saturday, May 12th, 2001. To date, your tips have led to the capture of 667 fugitives. Tonight, on America's Most Wanted, America Fights Back.
They've got a hot fight. Get them back!
Seemed like the whole world ended.
Stretcher, he's got a seizure.
The Oklahoma City bombing.
First four bodies I looked at were little kids, and I cried the whole time.
We showed you the horror. Now, 6 years later, how have they survived?
I had to regroup, come home, get in the bed, and sleep the sorrow away.
Also tonight.
Jesus, teaching 61.
Inside, they played for money. Outside, they played for keeps.
Break yourself!
Two young girls murdered. The case unsolved for 13 years.
Hey, you could help me out, baby. I need you.
That's bull.
So we asked our own investigator to sniff around.
Did you have anything to do with the death of these two girls?
No, sir, I didn't.
He said, I'm glad I'm not Bruce. I said, what do you mean you're glad you're not Bruce? He said, I'm glad I'm not the one that pulled the trigger.
Will he get the answers he needs to crack the case? You'll find out tonight, because tonight, America's Most Wanted is where America fights back. And now, from Oklahoma City, John Walsh.
Good evening. I'm standing in the Oklahoma City National Memorial. It seems like just yesterday I was across the street, and instead of this peaceful park, I saw the twisted, smoldering ruins of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, the aftermath of one of the worst mass murders in U.S. history. On Friday, the families of the victims of that crime were dealt another terrible blow, as Attorney General John Ashcroft delayed the death penalty for Timothy McVeigh. No matter how long it takes, I believe the death penalty is just what that coward McVeigh deserves, after what I saw here with my own eyes 6 years ago.
Seemed like the whole world ended.
Get them back!
It was a big force. This also is.
This was felt over 15 miles away.
Give me a letter, please. Here. Right from the building.
These images are the frantic moments that followed the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building shocked a nation.
So you look up here, John. All the wind is gone. Look at this building over here blown to pieces. Look at the car.
District Attorney Bob Macy took me to the site, and the devastation was beyond words. The truck bomb that Timothy McVeigh parked in front of the Murrah Building killed 168 people and injured nearly 700. Bob told me how quickly the community reacted, how rescuers seemingly came out of nowhere and put their own lives at risk.
The thing that just sticks in my mind, all these young police officers, firemen, highway patrol, came running into that building. It was still shaking, still burning, and started carrying people out.
I had the sad experience of visiting the makeshift morgue and watching medical examiners attempt to identify victims, sometimes literally having to piece together the bodies of children so the parents would have something to bury. I spent a lot of time talking with rescue workers and victims' families, listening to their stories, each one sadder than the last.
Wednesday at 9 o'clock, my life stopped.
The four Battle sisters were desperately seeking information about their parents, Calvin and Piola, who'd been in the Murrah Building visiting the Social Security office.
If we could just find someone that's seen them down there and could just, tell us, what was the last thing they were, just something.
It would be days before the Battle sisters found out that their parents had perished.
Oh, there's Colton.
These beautiful toddlers, 2-year-old Colton and 3-year-old Chase, were dropped off at the daycare center in the Murrah building by their mother, Edie Smith. Edie worked down the street at the IRS building with her mother. After hearing the explosion, they ran to the devastated building.
My mom said, "Oh my God, the babies."
And she said, "Oh my God." And we took off running. And we got around to that side. The whole side of the building was just blown away. And Edie just crumbled and said, "Oh, my babies, my babies." She was yelling.
Edie's brother, a police officer who responded to the scene, found one of the boys.
And my 2-year-old. He was wrapped up in a blanket on a bench. He was just laying there. They picked him up off the ground and put him on the bench.
Colton and his brother Chase were killed in the blast, along with 17 other children, all less than 5 years old. While walking to the wreckage that day, I realized anyone connected with this horrific scene was a victim. Even rescue workers, like Kevin Rowland, a medical examiner.
The first four bodies I looked at were little kids, and I cried the whole time, and I thought, dear God, if we have to do a whole lot more of this, I don't know that any of us are capable of handling it.
But Oklahoma City's heroes were able to handle the disaster in a way that proved evil can be overcome. I spoke to the heroes and the victims at a church service that week, hoping I could give them some comfort.
You have set an example for Americans everywhere. You have set an outstanding example for the people throughout this country who know and feel for you. You're hurt? I know you're hurt. You grieve deeply. You're down, but you're not broken. God bless your spirit and your courage.
The memorial that's been built here is truly remarkable. It's bookended by twin gates. The east gate says 901, the west gate says 903, and the space right here in between represents 902, the moment the bomb went off. It's a really beautiful garden where people can come and reflect on the terrible thing that happened here and to remember the victims, the survivors, and the rescuers. Later on in our show, we'll see how some of those survivors are doing today. With Timothy McVeigh's execution coming up, they'll finally be getting some justice. And tonight, we need to find justice for some others here in Oklahoma City. Our next story takes place at a bingo parlor right here in town. That's where 3 thugs planned a robbery, but got caught up in a deadly game. This is the Dobb and Win Bingo Hall in Oklahoma City. Thousands of people come to play here each week. It's an all-cash business. John Kinghorn Sr. worked as a security guard at the bingo hall. At closing, it was his responsibility to deposit the money, often as much as $20,000, at the night drop of a nearby bank.
John. Hey, you take it easy, Henry.
Police say on August 8, 1997, Larry Yarbrough and 2 other men staked out the bingo hall. Yarbrough knew roughly how much money the bingo hall took in. But what Yarbrough didn't know was that John Kinghorn always carried his gun in the same hand he carried the money in.
Hey, y'all get ready to get out of here. All right.
Henry Dewberry, a friend of John Kinghorn, saw the whole shootout.
All of a sudden, I heard this popping sound like a child that threw a bundle of firecrackers. And I looked up, it was just like a Western shootout, just like in the Western days.
Go, let's go! Just leave it! Let's go!
Police say the injured Yarbrough was literally dragged through the parking lot.
Come on! Yo, Larry, come on, man, come on! Come on! Go!
Although Henry Dewberry went after the men, he wasn't able to catch up to them.
Hey! Move the car!
I stopped and got out of my car to see if there was anything I could do for him.
Somebody get some help, huh?
And at that time, he had his gun in his hand, in his right hand, and it was shaking and jumping. So I took his gun out of his right hand. I turned his head sideways, hoping that he could breathe a little better, and held his head until they got there.
Paramedics soon arrived. However, John Kinghorn Sr. would be pronounced dead a short while later after being rushed to a nearby hospital.
It was one of the saddest days of my life that this happened. It really was.
John's son, John Jr., worked security with his dad.
The first thing I did was I asked the police officer how many rounds did he fire. Because he'd always said, you know, if somebody's going to shoot at him, he's going to shoot back.
After Mr. Yarbrough was shot, he was memorizing a stolen ID, social security number, date of birth, the name.
8/1979. Got that?
He would repeat this to himself over and over and over out loud as he was driving there, preparing himself to fake a drive-by shooting.
Mr. Sims?
Yes, sir.
I'm Detective Boney with the Hummer.
And his ruse worked. Yarbrough used the alias Micah Sims, and when police did question him, they bought his story. For 2 months, Yarbrough and his two accomplices, Kemonte Davis and Damian Rollins, were not viewed as suspects. All police had was the description of the car.
But we went ahead and put information out on NCIC, on the national computer, to make sure that everybody knew about the car, in hopes that someone would come up with it.
And that's exactly what happened on October 13th, 1997, when Davis was pulled over in Texas.
Okay, sir, I'd like you to step out of your vehicle for just a moment, please.
Amazingly, he was still driving the stolen vehicle. Davis was brought in for questioning, and it didn't take long for him to implicate himself, as well as name Yarbrough and Rollins as the other suspects.
Were you there?
What I didn't know.
There were three people there.
I just know exactly.
There were three people there. Who were the three?
Yes, I was.
All right. Within 5 minutes, we believed that we would walk out of there knowing exactly what happened.
By the next morning, Rollins was arrested at work, where he was a telemarketer. Davis and Rollins each received 35 years for their part in the murder. However, Oklahoma City police couldn't find Yarbrough. That's because cops say Yarbrough went back home to Detroit, where he became a pimp for a prostitute we'll call Janet.
You've been holding out on me, haven't you?
I love you.
Janet says these were Yarbrough's next words.
The only way you're leaving me is with your head chopped off. I already killed a man in Oklahoma City, so smoking you won't even make me blink.
On December 20th, 1997, Janet went to the Detroit police.
What makes you think he killed someone?
She felt Yarbrough was capable of killing her and that he'd killed before.
Because he flat out told me.
Her information was that he had committed a murder in Oklahoma. They ran him in the computer, and there was a warrant that showed up from Oklahoma.
Detroit police reacted quickly, but when they went to apprehend Yarbrough, he saw them coming. Police say Yarbrough leaped from a third-story window, then fled. He hasn't been seen since. These are the only photos we have of Yarbrough. They're from his high school yearbook and are 6 years old. Yarbrough has a large scar on his stomach from his gunshot wound and still may be using the alias Micah Sims. Police believe he now could be working as a bouncer in a strip club or nightclub. If you've seen Larry Yarbrough, be careful, but call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Coming up next, our investigator takes on one of Oklahoma's toughest murder mysteries.
The children were murdered.
They shouldn't have been.
And not everyone wants to talk about it.
Why don't you just shut up, Mom? God,
He was very defensive and a little bit of a smart-ass bastard when I first got in there.
Can his questions turn up the heat on a cold case?
Well, why would I come to you to ask you a question about other people?
Just too many people think that me and my brother did it.
On April 28th, police searching for a missing elderly man in a wooded area of Kansas City, Missouri, made a gruesome discovery: a little girl's headless body. 3 days later, a volunteer led police back into the woods for another gruesome find.
Can you give us a second while we open it?
Billy Stagel found the girl's head in a trash bag not far from where the girl's body was discovered.
I started to go down the trail, and about 100 yards past where they found the body, and started zigzagging going up on the bushes looking for animal trails, and there where I walked up on it, and then something told me I would this morning.
Police came up with this computer-generated drawing of the young victim. She doesn't match any reports of missing children in the Kansas City area. Police have few clues about her identity, so they need your help. She's believed to be 3 to 4 years old, weighs between 35 and 40 pounds, and is about 3 foot 7 inches tall. She has a chipped upper left front tooth and a crescent-shaped birthmark on her left shoulder. Somewhere there are loved ones who need to know what happened to their little girl, and finding her identity could be the first step to finding her killer. If you have any idea who this little girl may be, please call our hotline tonight at 1-800-CRIME-TV. These chairs represent the victims of the Murrah building bombing. They're here to make sure that no one ever forgets them. There'll always be a place for them and all crime victims in my heart. We'll never stop fighting for them until justice is done. Now, our next story follows a murder mystery right here in Oklahoma City. 13 years ago, 2 sisters vanished from the Oklahoma State Fair. Their bodies were later found in shallow graves. To this day, these unsolved murders remain one of Oklahoma's most infamous cases. So, we asked our investigator, Ron Antosi, to look into it and see if he could get any closer to the truth.
On any given night, the Midway can lure you in like a pro with our neon lights, mouth-watering treats, and cheap thrills. But it's all an illusion, because when day breaks, Midway is what it is, a little rough around the edges. It was into this mix that Lisa Pennington and her older sister, Cheryl Genza, came for a night of good times. They met up with a friend of a friend, Lane Henley, small-time musician, and his friend Doug Lawson, a small-time drug dealer. At the end of the night, they all went to a party at Lane's house, in an area known as Britain. Neither girl was seen alive again. For 3 weeks, the sisters were missing. Then, Cheryl and Lisa's bodies were found in the field north of Britain, shot in the head with a .357 and left like garbage in a hole in the ground. Cops found out the girls had last been seen at Lane Henley's house. They searched the house, but found nothing. For almost 5 years, the case sat cold. Then Doug Lawson was arrested on drug charges. To save his skin, he ratted out his friend Lane Henley.
Mr. Henley, did you murder those sisters?
No.
Who did?
I don't know.
Henley was arrested for the murders of Lisa and Cheryl. But on the eve of the trial, Doug Lawson recanted his story.
God told you to change your story. Why is that?
Truth shall prevail.
So after 19 months in jail, Lane Henley was a free man. And Lawson? He was convicted of perjury and went to prison for 10 years. That was 7 years ago. Now I'm here in Oklahoma City to make sure no stone has been left unturned. And I started with the toughest interview first. The girls' parents, Rocky and Charlotte Pennington.
Hello?
Hi, Charlotte.
Come on in, yes.
Hi, Ron, how are you?
Fine.
Your children were murdered.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have been.
That's right.
I'm here as if we just found out that your children were murdered yesterday. I'm starting from there. I am trying to establish the condition they were in that night. You see, it's very important because when I establish the condition they were in, I can start putting a package together of who they really were with.
I never seen them personally do anything with drugs, but I believe it happened. Yes, I believe they were doing drugs.
And Rocky knew where I was going with it, that they wanted to be a little protective. I mean, it is their daughters. You know, the guys they ran around with and the people they hung out with were not nice people. They were into drugs. They all had, just about all of them had rap sheets.
I knew about Henley and Lawson, but there were other characters Lisa and Cheryl ran with, like Tracy and Bruce Castle, and their friend, Chuck Tootle. So I started with Tracy Castle. I heard he was the weakest link. There were rumors the Castle brothers had actually bragged about doing the murders.
Tracy, Tracy.
Yeah,
how are you, man? You can help me out, baby. I need you. I'm investigating the murders of Cheryl and Lisa.
Man, I've done been through this so many times.
Hi, how are you, ma'am?
But before I could talk to Tracy, I had to deal with Mom.
That's bull.
Okay.
If you're a private detective.
No, I'm not a private detective.
There's nothing we can tell you.
I'm not a private detective.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not a private detective. Okay. I don't want you to get excited. I want you to.
Well, pisses me off.
Don't get angry.
Look at anywhere except right here in this.
No.
You're not always a welcome guest when you come to talk about murder. The TV camera doesn't hurt.
Come on, brush my hair.
No, let's go. Brush your hair. I want to ask you something anyway.
Sit.
You be still.
Okay. You want to sit in on this?
I don't know.
You don't mind? Okay. Just let him answer, okay? Because it's real important. Basically, your brother Bruce was seeing Cheryl?
No, they were.
She was coming over. Yeah, they were seeing each other over here. Because he was staying here at the time.
You know what I'd like to do?
He means seeing each other. He means dating each other.
No, you know what I'd like to do? You know what I'd like to do? Because I think you can help me just as much. I'd like to interview you both separately.
You can talk in front of her.
Because it's better that I just speak to you. That's really why. It's better I speak to you. Okay? It's really better I speak to you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Tell me then what you heard, if you can. You really know what happened, or someone really knows what happened? Or...
I heard the story was Lane had raped Lisa while Cheryl and Doug, or whatever his name was, went to the store to get some beer, or whatever they went and got, came back. And Cheryl found out about it, and they got into a fight. Somehow she got knocked out, and he hit Lisa with a shovel. That's what the police told me.
And then sometimes it's not so much what people say, but how they react. And Tracy reacted. You know Chuck Tootle?
Oh, God, yeah, I know Chuck Tootle.
Tell me about him.
Yeah, what's the tale about him? You've already talked to him.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, then how'd you know Chuck Tootle?
Oh, I've looked into a lot of records and files.
If you want to know anything about Chuck, you talk to Chuck.
Why would you say that?
You just talk to Chuck.
Well, tell me why you don't want to mention nothing about Chuck to me.
That's not going to retaliate.
You just talk, huh?
He won't retaliate.
Why don't you just shut up, Mom? God, but just listen.
You're just afraid of him.
No, if you want to talk to Chuck, you talk to Chuck.
I will. I am going to.
Okay.
I came here because I consider you an ally. I consider Chuck maybe an enemy in this.
I think you're lying about that right there.
Well, you can think
considering me an ally.
Well, why would I come to you to ask you a question about other people?
Because too many people think that me and my brother did it.
He was very defensive and a little bit of a smart-ass bastard when I first got in there. And if he is involved, then he just thinks I'm stupid. Well, if he isn't involved, he may want to push in the right direction.
I got my hands on some letters Lisa had written. All I can say is, they're full of the kinds of things you hope to God your kids grow out of. But Lisa never got a chance to. Neither did Cheryl. So the girls did drugs. So what? So they did other things. Nobody had a right to kill them.
Take me to the house of worship, okay?
I wanted to talk to the older brother, Bruce, but I needed to know first what Tracy was afraid of. So that meant I had to find their childhood friend, Chuck Tootle.
Great. Oh, this could be a miracle. How are you? Maybe you can help me. My name is Ron Antosi. I'm looking to speak to Chuck Tootle.
Chuck.
Yes.
I think his wife is here.
Don't speak to his wife.
Okay,
Sometimes I feel more like a politician looking for votes than a detective looking for clues.
Thank you so very much. And what's the little baby's name?
This is Austin.
Austin? What a nice name. And a beautiful little boy. I want to know when I can speak to Chuck. Or what's convenient for him. I mean, is tomorrow anytime?
Chuck Tootle has spent all but the last 2 years of his life partying. I wasn't sure what was left in his memory bank.
Tracy came over, and he was acting real funny and stuff. So we talked, and I said, Tracy, tell me what's going on. He was acting real nervous, and he wouldn't tell me nothing. He was nothing. So finally, I jumped on him and said, Tracy, what's wrong with you? I said, something's wrong about this murder. He said, I'm glad I'm not Bruce. I said, what do you mean you're glad you're not Bruce? He said, I'm glad I'm not the one that pulled the trigger.
Coming up.
Did you have anything to do with the death of these two girls?
No, sir, I didn't.
The investigation continues, and a new murder may be linked to the others.
The body was positively identified as Molly Keehee.
In a television first, 5 convicted criminals will get one last chance to prove their innocence, matching their DNA against crime scene evidence. Will science set them free?
You're going to be right there when the DNA evidence comes in.
John Walsh hosts this landmark special, Judgment Night DNA, 8/7 Central Fox, Thursday.
We're back now with our investigator, Ron Antosi, who's out to crack one of the most infamous murder cases in Oklahoma history.
It's always hard to tell if you're getting near the truth in a murder case, when a lot of time and a lot of drug use muddy the waters. I headed back to the Castle House. This time I found Big Brother Bruce, fresh out of jail, and Mom still watching.
Tell me about your relationship with Cheryl and Lisa.
Well, other than us being like 6th or 7th cousins, we were friends, and me and Cheryl were dating.
Did Cheryl let you know she was even going to that fair?
Yes, sir, she did. As a matter of fact, I was right there on that telephone in the hall. She called and asked me if I wanted to go to the fair, and I said, I don't have any money, and I said, well, how are you all getting in? She said they was going to jump the fence.
Did you, what did you do the rest of that night, do you remember?
Stayed here. I was in a car accident, and I was just pretty sore.
So you were home?
Yes, sir.
Where were you when someone implied to you that the girls were missing? And when did you hear about it?
Well, I was in Doctors General Hospital back then, and man, my recollection, when all this was going on, I had been calling here and calling Rockies in Charlotte, asking if they'd heard or seen the girls, heard from or seen the girls.
Okay, well, you were in the hospital. I mean, you were home the night of the 23rd. When were you in the hospital?
I think I went to the hospital on the 23rd.
Bruce, you went into the hospital on October 6th, which is 9 days later. And I just want to show you how I know this for a fact is because I have the hospital record. Here's your admitting. October 6, 1987. That's 2 weeks later.
Problem was, Bruce has 4 different alibis. None of them substantiated.
Did you have anything to do with the death of these 2 girls?
No, sir, I didn't. You know, number one, I didn't have any reason to harm them girls. You know, I love them to death.
Alan Pennington said that he came over your, I guess here or somewhere to pick you up and ask you where Lane Henley lived.
Yeah, and I took him around there and showed him where he lived at.
Right. He said when you got to the house that for some reason you just didn't want Lane to see you pointing out the house, and you ducked down in the back seat. Carissa said the same thing.
Yeah, it's true. Tell me why? Because that guy was so weird. I was afraid he might pop a cat. You know, there's a couple number of times that I'd seen him sitting on his drum stool at the bar with a gun hanging out of his back pocket.
I had to talk to Lane Henley, only person ever charged in the murders of Lisa and Cheryl. But first, I wanted to get to the guy who had fingered Lane and then changed his mind. Doug Lawson said he'd talk to us as long as we didn't show his face. I didn't really care. I just wanted the truth.
You get to Lane's house, and how many, anybody else there when you get there?
Nobody.
Okay, so the four of you are in the house.
Right.
Okay, go ahead and take me through it.
Okay, when we get there, I rolled another joint. Lane pulled out a dirty movie, but after I saw the disgust on their faces, I pulled it out and I gave it back to him and told him to put it up. I think we smoked one more joint and I laid back my head, and then the next thing I remember, it was morning. I looked around, I said, "Where are the girls?" And he said they found some better and left. I said, "Well, why didn't they wake me up?" And he says they called somebody and they were to meet them at the 7-Eleven.
I believed about 80% what Lawson was telling me, but I wondered, had the girls called someone that night looking for a ride? And if so, why arrange to meet 4 blocks from Lane's house? The only person left to answer that is Lane Henley. And to find Lane Henley, we had to go to Roswell, New Mexico, a 12-hour drive from Oklahoma City. Before I met with Lane, though, I wanted to drop in on the local cops. Turns out they had an interest in Lane Henley, too.
March 19th of 2000 is when we got the report of a body found on the Pecos River. The body was positively identified as Molly Keehee, 35-year-old white female. Last known address, West 1st Street in Roswell.
That last address, right?
That's an interesting address.
Who'd she live with there?
Is that Lane Henley's address? West 1st?
Yes.
That's Lane Henley's address.
Molly Keehee was Lane Henley's girlfriend. That was until someone put a bullet in her.
I am here because I intend to go talk to Lane Henley.
You're not going to go talk to him. You might find him, but I don't think he's going to say anything.
No.
When I found Lane, I wasn't surprised he didn't want to talk about Molly, and he had very little to say about Lisa and Cheryl.
They came home with Doug and I, and we hung out for a little while, and then they had some dates or something that they were doing, and they left. And that's all I know in that regard.
Do you recall if one of the girls made a phone call from your house?
Yeah, Cheryl did. I believe that's correct.
Would you happen to know who she may have called?
No.
Did they get picked up, Lane, at your house?
No. They walked. Hey, I'm a good guy. I didn't do anything. I'm absolutely, totally, completely innocent. And I know nothing of what happened to them.
This is where they found Molly Keehee, shot, buried in a shallow grave near the Pecos River. Cheryl and Lisa were found shot, buried in a shallow grave near water. Like a lot of cops, I have a tough time with coincidence. Even though Lane was never tried for the murders, most of Britain still thought he had done them.
And Lane Henley is such a scary person. He has Charles Manson eyes. He's just scary. And I always felt like he was part of it.
Was he a loner? Or did he was? Do you have any particular group of friends that he ran around with?
You know, just probably Bruce is about the only one I ever saw him with.
I talked to a lot of people, heard a lot of stories, most of them off the record.
I was at this person's house, and an individual was there that evening and was telling how they had killed these 2 girls and why they had killed them and where they had done it.
Who was that person that told you this?
Bruce Castle.
There you go. Got about 5 minutes? I told you I'd come back. Let me just put my cigar down.
I decided to take one more run at Bruce Castle. me to substantiate where you were that night.
There wasn't no telling. That's 13 years ago. And to my belief, it was right here because I talked to Cheryl on the phone that night. I mean, you know, I didn't do nothing to them girls, so I don't have anything to worry about.
So what happened that night 13 years ago? I think the girls were driven alive to the field where an argument broke out. Possibly a rape occurred.
Come on, no!
I think more than one person was involved in the murders. 2 girls, at least 2 killers. Will there be justice? I honestly don't know. But I do know somebody out there knows something. And that somebody should give me a call.
Now, let's solve this case once and for all. If you know anything about the murders of Lisa Pennington or Cheryl Genzer here in Oklahoma, or the murder of Molly Keehee in New Mexico, please call our hotline tonight at 1-800-CRIME-TV. And if you want to see some more cases that we're trying to solve in a whole new way, please tune in this Thursday for a special 2-hour event when America's Most Wanted presents DNA Judgment Night. We'll be using new DNA technology to help unlock secrets and solve some very difficult cases. Now, we'll be right back with a lot more from Oklahoma City.
Up next. 6 years after the bombing, Oklahoma City survivors look back at the tragedy.
And I thought it was...
I can't believe it.
I was standing there talking.
I really can't believe I was there and all that happened.
Everybody thinks we're doing okay, you know, but if they could open our hearts, open this body up and just see the damage that has been done.
And look ahead to the bomber's execution.
McVeigh is a liar when he says he didn't know that there were children in that building.
Fighting crime 24/7. America's Most Wanted will be right back.
This jagged and scarred wall is all that's left of the Murrah Federal Building. An awful reminder of Timothy McVeigh's cowardly and disgusting crime. You know, for the last several weeks, McVeigh has had the spotlight aimed at him. Well, let's forget about this awful individual for now. Let's revisit some of the good people whose lives he tore apart. They're the ones who deserve our attention, our sympathy, and our prayers.
There are those of us with children we could not keep safe from harm.
I want to leave you with my own personal message and the message that I have lived by for 13 years. You will survive. You will survive. This community, this city, this state will survive. And you will go on. And you'll go on in the name of your loved ones. When I spoke at a memorial service in Oklahoma City 6 years ago, I knew from my own experience it would be a long uphill battle for the people whose lives had been torn apart. They'd been through so much. But in the 6 years since that horrible day, the stories of the survivors are lessons in healing and in dealing with the worst pain imaginable. Like the story of Edie Smith, who lost her 2 young sons, Chase and Colton.
I am a completely different person today than I was 6 years ago. I've remarried. I'll be 4 years in May to a wonderful guy named Paul. I have a little boy who just turned 3 in January. I went to cosmetology school. I have my own shop. You know, I have a lot of issues. I still do. And I don't know if I'll ever be 100% better. You know, I think that I'm damaged. I really am. Just looking at my little boy is a constant reminder of Chase and Colton because they look exactly alike. And I do think about him every day.
Who's in that cave? What are you guys? Who is that?
The biggest thing that really bothers me is, you know, they were so young when they died. Wonder what they would look like now.
Nancy Ingram knows she was lucky to survive the blast.
It was just like it was raining rocks.
and slabs of cement. I thought it was an earthquake.
Right after the bombing, she spoke to us from her hospital bed.
The chaplain of the Oklahoma City Fire Department found me and uncovered my face and got the debris off, but my feet were stuck. They thought they were going to have to leave feet there and take me, and I didn't agree with that. I didn't know what happened. I thought it was...
I can't believe that.
And I was standing there talking to
I really
a
can't
friend.
believe I was there and all that happened.
Nancy is back on her feet, but she lives every day with physical pain.
I don't understand it. I'm glad I'm here, but I don't know how in the world I got out of there.
For many, though, it's the emotional pain that's been hardest to live with. Like the Battle sisters who lost their parents in the explosion.
I haven't moved too much farther than where I was April 19th. I look good, you know, to the public. You know, everybody thinks we're doing okay, you know, but if they could open our hearts, open this body up and just see the damage that has been done, you know, they would be thinking like, how in the world have you guys managed to continue to move from April 19th to now?
We are here left to pick up the pieces, move on with our lives, and it's hard.
I'll think about my mom and dad until I take my final breath.
On each April 19th, the Battles and other families of victims would go to the site.
This year, I'm not going to the memorial. I'm going to stay home.
Gwendolyn can't bring herself to go to the memorial anymore.
But once you get in amongst the crowd, everybody be crying, you be crying, and then it's almost like one whole day, my life stops. And then I have to regroup, come home, get in the bed, and sleep the sorrow away. I don't cry as much, but some days a little bit better than others, and that's just how I feel.
This week, the delay in Timothy McVeigh's execution was just the latest painful experience for the survivors and families in their search for justice. The victims of his horrible crimes say the memories they're dealing with have also been made more painful by the recent release of a new book. In it, McVeigh expresses to the authors no remorse, and he refers to the children killed in the blast as collateral damage.
What piece of my heart I had left, it was gone. I said, how dare can a man sit in a prison cell for 6 years and do what he has done and still can look upon human life and call them collateral damage?
I'm not for the death penalty, but in this case, I am.
They may have to wait a little longer, but the victims here still believe in their hearts that justice will be served. April 19th, 1995 at 9:02 in the morning, a moment that will always be remembered by this nation. Life has gone on for the victims of that awful day, and they have survived, each in his or her own way. But they will never forget those who were taken from them, and neither will we.
I sit back and I think, you know, I've been through the worst of the worst of the worst. How can anything worse than what has already happened happen to me? You know, if it does, I'll deal with it. But I think we'll be okay.
Once again, our prayers are with everyone who lived through this horrible, unforgivable tragedy. May God give them the strength to keep healing and to go on. Now stay with us. We'll be right back. New Jersey police say Young Moon Cho bludgeoned his wife to death and threw her body in a dumpster. He could be in California. Call if you can help. You know, this memorial is truly a testament to the American spirit. I'm John Walsh. Thanks a lot for watching. And remember, you can make a difference.
Fox tomorrow. Parents beware. Homer opens a daycare center, and childcare will never be the same. Peekaboo.
Never seen the baby get tired of it before the adult.
Peekaboo. And all new Simpsons. Then, how can a trip to the dump
Can you tell us where we should dump this couch?
lead to the mother of all disasters?
There's been a toxic chemical spill. Some idiot left a couch on the railroad tracks.
I wonder if that...
Careful, son.
Malcolm after this.
Tonight, go undercover as we capture the final hours of freedom for two of America's most wanted. And an accused killer captured. Thanks to your tips, 179 fugitives behind bars. Tonight.
Ain't them the prettiest things you ever did see? Can't even tell them from the real thing. We're gonna buy money. We're gonna sell 30 grand counterfeit for 10 grand real. I know just the customer.
Then, Oprah Winfrey joins the fight to protect those who can't protect themselves.
I intend to make this my second career, working as an advocate for the children.
And
Here, dimwit, see if you can open that.
a cycle of abuse spins out of control.
I told you to keep those glasses on. I told you boys 20 times before. No toys in the house.
I'm gonna tell!
Shut up!
America's Most Wanted. I think I have seen this guy.
Please stop!
Probably nothing.
It is here that good and evil meet.
White shirt, armed with a knife and a revolver.
999, we have an officer down.
Good evening from Washington. It's Friday, November 22nd, and I'm John Walsh. Tonight, we'll tell you about a new role for Oprah Winfrey, and we'll hit the road in search of two high-speed fugitives who've outrun the police in 3 states. But first, some exciting captures. The two fugitives in our next story thought they were flying high, but their past caught up with them at 35,000 feet. So fasten your seatbelts and take a ride through the friendly skies, America's Most Wanted style. Captures number 178 and 179 are now boarding. Monday, November 11th, 2 first-class passengers on an American Airlines flight from Buffalo, New York to Portland, Oregon. The 2 men enjoying free drinks and luxury in-flight service are really 2 of America's most wanted. William John Dunn on the left and Gordon Wallace Mackey sitting near the window could easily afford the first-class tickets. Police say they are 2 of 3 Canadian con men who made $1 million a year scamming elderly citizens. Here's how the scam worked. Police say John Dunn played Mr. Ryan, a phony bank examiner.
As bank security, it's my solemn duty to inform you that a dishonest employee has taken $4,500 from your account.
Good heavens, that's practically my entire savings. Is there anything I can do?
Well, if you really want to help, there is something you can do.
I would like to
need you
withdraw $4,500 from my savings account.
Are you sure you want $4,500, Mrs. McCall?
Yes, and be sure to put it in an envelope for me.
Okay, I'll be right back. Good afternoon, sir.
The second man.
I was hoping you could change this into quarters. My son loves those video games.
His role was played by Gordon Mackey, and he posed as a bank customer, watching the victim's every move.
You'll have to drop it off with one of my agents. He'll identify himself as Agent 286.
The third man, John Dunn's son,
I was
Edward.
getting so nervous walking around with this money.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your cooperation, and we'll be calling you later.
We estimate that each one of the con men who were involved in this particular crime cleared approximately $1 million a year, all of which was being stolen from our elderly and senior citizens.
They were arrested in April 1987, but ran to Canada before their court dates. When we first broadcast the case last March, your tips led the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to 35-year-old Edward Dunn. He's the man police say played Agent 286. Dunn was hiding in the open in Calgary. In fact, he was performing on stage at the Ranchman's Bar.
They called him Chainsaw because he was the type of bass player that just attacked the guitar, and he could play lead on a bass guitar, which is a pretty difficult thing to do.
After our second broadcast, Your Tips told Sergeant Greg Zahar where the two other con artists were hiding. With the heat on, Dunn and Mackey wanted to deal.
We'd been in the process of negotiating with the attorneys representing Mackey and Dunn since the original arrest of Ed Dunn after the first showing on America's Most Wanted.
The talks dragged on for 6 months. Dunn and Mackey said they wanted to come back to the U.S., but wouldn't say when. But last week, we uncovered their flight plans. An America's Most Wanted reporter secretly went along for the ride and captured this exclusive video of the pair's last moments of luxury and freedom. Portland's International Airport last Monday night. When Dunn and Mackey walked through the gateway, they found an unexpected welcoming committee.
Mr. Dunn, step over here, please. You're under arrest. Your other hand?
Your name, Mackey?
No, it is not. Okay. That's him right there. Dick. Put your hands behind you.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Put your hands behind you.
Can you tell us why you're here, why you're in the United States?
Time to give ourselves up. That's it. Get away from me.
Is it because you're on our show, on the program?
Who are you?
I'm Donna Brandt with America's Most Wanted.
Are you?
Yeah.
You look like you should be a candidate.
Did you commit the crimes that you're accused of?
Why would I want to talk to you?
We'd like to do an interview with you.
Why don't you take that camera and jam it?
Dunn and Mackey are alleged to have scammed more than 100 victims in 3 states since 1981. But it was the small Eugene police force who wanted more than to just put the con men in jail. They were determined to recover the money stolen from trusting senior citizens.
That was our priority, to get restitution and compensation to our victims. They were particularly vulnerable, and the theft occurs at a point in their lives when they were just basically unable to replace that money.
In a plea bargain deal, the trio were given a 5-year suspended sentence, ordered to serve 90 days in jail, and pay $50,000 to reimburse 1 victim in Seattle and 3 in Oregon.
And I have everything from the first clipping.
The money means a lot to 71-year-old Althea McCall. When the trio conned her out of $4,500 in 1986, she was forced to move from her home.
It does. It changes your life, your system and everything. And as I say, it just knocked down where I had to move. I couldn't afford to stay where I was.
2 days after the airport arrest, Althea went to the bank with a check for $7,500. The original amount she lost plus $3,000 of interest.
I like to deposit my check, and I feel like $1 million.
Did you ever think to stay away?
No, I didn't. But in a way, I had hopes. It makes me feel good. And I hope that they have learned their lesson. Now I bet I'll sleep tonight.
After Dunn and Mackey served their 90 days, they'll be deported back to Canada. Police in Eugene hope this marks the end of their criminal career. But if you ever get a call from anyone asking you to take money out of your bank account, don't be taken in. Call the police. There's a third capture this week. Last spring, we told you about Irene Court, a New York City apartment building held hostage by a vicious Jamaican gang called the Gullyman Posse. We asked for your help finding some of the members, and you did. Christopher Bentley went by the name Gravelhead. Police say Bentley was a key operative in the Gullymen, running drugs and guns in at least 3 states. The take, more than $60,000 a day. The Gullymen were ruthless. Police say when a gang lieutenant got out of line, the leader, Eric Vassell, called upon his executioner, Gravelhead, to kill him.
Agents in New York City Police.
In December 1990, police raided the posse's headquarters. Bentley was one of the key members who got away. Your tips put Bentley in Tampa, Florida. Last Thursday, 6 days of staking out this house paid off. FBI agents saw Bentley drive off in this Nissan. Bentley was arrested after a high-speed chase. His identification claimed he was born in Tampa, but his Jamaican accent gave him away. Bentley's being extradited to New York City, where he'll face murder charges. Finally, some breaking news on one of our toughest cases. Late yesterday, Richard Church was captured. He's the man accused of killing his girlfriend's parents. We've profiled Church 5 times and gotten thousands of tips. But Church always stayed one step ahead of the manhunt until yesterday, when police in Salt Lake City put the cuffs on him. We'll tell you about Church's years on the run in the next episode of America's Most Wanted. But now, stay tuned for a story about the high price of easy money.
Coming up next.
You can triple your money. Make a phone call.
America's Most Wanted is brought to you by Pert Plus. Shampoo plus complete conditioner in one bottle. For great-looking, easy-to-manage hair in just one step.
What would it take for you to break the law? Could you be tempted? About $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Bobby Clyde Gardner was a businessman in the Piedmont region of North Carolina. He faced that very question, but he had no idea what the real price was. Then again, he'd never done business with Ricky Dale Brock. Fall 1980. The recession had hit the Piedmont region. Local textile mills were shutting down. Tough times were getting tougher. November 12th. 43-year-old Melvin Tracy Caudle just finished his early morning shift at a nearby mill. He stopped in at Brock's garage on his way home.
Ricky Dale, you home? Anybody home? Where you at, Ricky Dale? Hey, Tracy. You scared me. Oh, you something, ain't you?
Got you.
Well, how's my old car?
It ain't done yet. Gonna need a new starter.
How much longer it gonna be?
It ain't gonna get done till I get it done. Now go on out to the truck. You're gonna take me to the parts store.
All right. All right.
Ricky Brock was considered part of the criminal element. He had a minor criminal record and associated with people that did have criminal histories. If you sat down to talk to Ricky Brock, he may be just as mild and easygoing as anyone else that you would talk to. But he has the capability of becoming arrogant, also the tough guy stereotype that you see many times.
Police say Caudle was just along for the ride, and Brock was the man with the plan.
So now how much you gonna charge me for this starter? I mean, it's rebuilt.
Tracy, you can stop worrying about money. Remember those 2 boys I told you I met down at the beach? One do that dealing with me?
Yeah.
Well, I just heard from them again. We're gonna make us some money.
How's that?
Those boys want to sell me some money, as much as I want. Cheap.
How you gonna buy money cheap? I don't get that.
You don't get anything, do you, Tracy? The reason the money is cheap is because it's fake. Counterfeit. Understand? Counterfeit. Ain't them the prettiest things you ever did see? Can't even tell them from the real thing. And those guys, they say they can fill this briefcase up with it.
We're gonna buy money.
Oh, dummy, we're not gonna buy money. We need us a customer. That's where you come in.
How's that, Rick?
Well, we're gonna sell 30 grand counterfeit for 10 grand real. We're gonna pay off the 2 guys, then you and me, we split the profits. Now, you gotta go get us the customer.
That sounds all right with me. Who's the customer?
You know, I've been thinking about that, Tracy. Tell you what, I'm gonna stay here and wait on the 2 guys. You take that counterfeit, kind of a sample of what we can do 'em. You go on down to Gardner's Rec Room. I know just the customer.
Gardner's Rec Center was a video arcade and pool hall owned by businessman Bobby Clyde Gardner. He was a well-respected community leader in Stanley County. But deputies say his investments were going sour, and he was vulnerable to a scam.
You shouldn't do that.
Bobby?
Hi, Trace.
What's wrong? That old machine won't give you no luck.
I'm not having much luck with anything anymore these days. Except these quarters I'm stealing for myself.
I got a deal for you.
What kind of a deal could you have for me, Tracy?
You ain't gonna have to worry about money no more.
Talk to me.
I can't talk to you out here with all this noise.
Let's go to my office. You are taking too long. Okay, Tracy, what do you got?
Go ahead, check it out.
What is it?
Go ahead, just look at it. Counterfeit.
Ooh. Look, Tracy, this is illegal as hell.
Oh, you can pass that easy.
So what's the score?
You give us $10,000, and we'll give you 30,000 of them. You can triple your money.
I'll make a phone call.
He never claimed he was perfect. I think he just thought he had a chance to making some money other than his business in a quicker way, and he was just going to take advantage of it, trying to get ahead in life, like a lot of ordinary guys would. He did not deserve what he got.
Okay. All right, I'll talk at you. Well, I can raise the cash. Okay, I'll do it.
Now, you talk to him. Everything all right?
Yeah, he's getting his money together right now.
That's good. Now, you're going to bring him by here, right?
Yeah, I'm going to bring him by just a little bit later, just like you said.
You done good, Tracy. You done real good.
Now listen, everything's cool on your end, ain't it?
Oh, yeah. Got him right here. I'll be waiting on you.
Okay, bye.
Gardner was ready to deal, and it took him only a few hours to get the $10,000 in cash.
Why didn't you tell me it was Ricky Brock?
What? I didn't know I was supposed to. You know Ricky Dale.
Yeah, that's okay. No, he's all right.
He's all right. That's cool.
Ricky, here's Bobby. Ricky, how's it going, my man?
Hey, good.
Good to see you. Listen, if we can do this again sometime, got a little place that's old, isolated farmhouse. We can meet there, nobody sees.
That's a real good idea. Let's take care of this deal here.
Sure, suits me.
You got your cash?
the notes.
Oh, yeah. Tracy, over there in the fourth, front seat, there's a briefcase. Bring it on in here. Open it up for him. Show him that stuff.
Hey, listen, this is a good deal for both of us. No, listen, it's, I need the bread. I can use it.
All right.
I can do it again.
You'll like it. Ricky, I need a combination or something here.
What's wrong with it?
It's jammed.
There's no key for this thing, Ricky. It needs a combination.
Put your hands up.
Hey, man, come on. Don't wave that thing around.
No.
Hey, tell me, what is this?
Put your hands up.
All right. Hey, look. I brought the money. Just take the money.
Get your hands up.
All right, they're up. Come on, man, take it easy. You're gonna have the money, just don't do anything.
Get over here and turn around.
All right, I will. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Ricky. In the middle of that plastic.
Keep doing it, Ricky. Ricky, please, God. She brought a gun.
Oh, man, you didn't tell me you were going to do that. But I told you, you wouldn't have brought it. Now, come on. Let's wrap him up.
We do not believe there was any counterfeit money at all. We believe it was just a scam to get Mr. Gardner down to the garage so Mr. Brock could rob him.
What you looking at? You ain't going to shoot me, too, are you? I ain't going to shoot you. Now, I'm going to pick his body up. Come on.
The way this happened and the brutality of it, to almost make it to the point where anyone couldn't identify him, is hard to ever live with. And if I had ever had a prayer, it would be that no one would ever have to go through that.
A few hours later, police found Bobby Gardner's body. Meanwhile, Melvin Caudle's conscience got the better of him. He told investigators the whole story. Caudle testified against Brock and served 3 years for his part in the crime. Ricky Dale Brock was convicted of first-degree murder. He got life in prison. He served just 10 years. Then, last May, Ricky Brock escaped. Notice the dramatic change in these recent photos. He's now nearly bald, and he likes to hide it with a baseball cap. As we showed you in our reenactment, Brock always has cigars with him, and he has a telltale scar. It's from a knife fight, and it runs across his left shoulder all the way from his back to his chest. He's always worked around cars, either as a mechanic or in some kind of body work, and police think he's probably still in the South. If you've seen Ricky Dale Brock, call us now, 1-800-CRIME-91. When we return, they've slipped through the hands of the law 38 times.
Both Jesse James and Bonnie and Clyde, they fought it out with cops. I've never seen anything these Massey boys do but run.
Last November, we introduced you to two brothers from Louisiana's Bayou Country, John and Roy Massey. So far, they've slipped through the hands of the law at least 38 times. They're accused of stealing more than $1 million worth of goods. Police say they'll steal anything and everything, especially luxury cars. With police in Louisiana turning up the heat, the brothers set out for the Lone Star State. Del Lago Resort on Lake Conroe, Texas. It's a vacation playground 40 miles north of Houston. It's a place where some come to get away, and two fugitives came to hide. On June 20th, 1991, someone tripped a Cadillac alarm. Security guards checked the plates and discovered the car was stolen. Police arrived minutes later, just before John Massey and a friend came back to the car.
We just approached them and we started to ask them a question, and immediately they started trying to get away.
When he bit me, I grabbed him and threw him down on the truck.
he was trying to kick us and headbutt us.
We put a set of hinge cuffs, like I'm holding in my hand, on the suspect, handcuffing him behind, and placing him in the back seat of our patrol car behind the driver. The suspect, Massey, managed to get the cuffs from behind, get them to the front of the vehicle, throwing it in drive, and leaving with the cuffs on.
Still handcuffed, John Massey raced down the road. With sheriff's deputies hot on his trail, he swerved around curves at over 130 miles per hour. Massey abandoned the car at the opening to a dense forest. Wearing only bathing trunks and tennis shoes, he bolted into the dense underbrush and disappeared.
John Massey is a very skillful driver. Take it from me.
The FBI says John and his brother Roy Bubba Massey enjoyed the resort for more than a week. The day of the chase was John's 26th birthday. When word of his near arrest reached the bungalow, Roy Bubba cleared out in a hurry. But they left a clue behind, John's birthday cake.
A pregnant woman came in to pick up her cake, and it was a specialized custom order. She asked for Happy Birthday Junebug on it, and she liked the cake, and after paying for it, I took it out to her car and set it in her car.
Junebug is John Massey's nickname, and this is Massey's girlfriend, Michelle Klug. Store employees later told police she was the pregnant woman who bought the cake. Police next tangled with both Masseys in July at a suspected hideout in the Houston suburb of Spring, Texas.
Just in case they get out the store and pass these guys can react here,
Get it together, let's do it.
But no one was home. Houston police say Roy and John Massey slipped away by minutes. 3 weeks later, it was Roy Bubba's turn to race against the law. On August 11th, Houston police hit the lights on a speeding Dodge Conquest. For 30 minutes, they tore down I-45, at times hitting 140 miles per hour. Eventually, Roy ditched his car and ran into the woods. This time, Houston police caught him.
He was booked under the name of Brett Stewart Countryman, processed through our city jail in Houston. Then he bonded out, $1,500 bond.
After months of searching, police finally had a Massey brother in jail. But by the time a fingerprint check proved his identity, Roy Bubba Massey was long gone.
Well, Massey has made the statement that he won't be taken alive, but of course that's not true. We took him once. He did not put up a fight. He went meek as a lamb.
But on September 14th, 1991, both Masseys outfoxed and outran Houston police again, this time in a stolen Lexus. A day later, they were in Austin and helped themselves to a 1990 Chevy Suburban. The next day, San Antonio police found papers from the Suburban. They were near the scene of a botched burglary. From San Antonio, the Masseys, Michelle Klug, and Cody Massey, her newborn infant, left Texas for a new hideout in Florida. Officer John Jones of the Altamont Springs Police clocked a BMW pushing 80 miles per hour. He chased what he thought were a pair of joyriders right to the shore of Lake Killarney.
When we arrived at the lake, the couple had abandoned their vehicle in that wooded area. I saw them ahead of me in the water. I was able to come up here. I jumped in the water, caught the female, brought her back to this side, placed her under arrest. I then looked across the lake. The guy, who later determined to be John Massey, was out of the water and fleeing to the left over into the wooded area.
The woman Jones arrested said she was Brenda Lee Ledbetter. She was photographed, fingerprinted, and then released. 2 weeks later, a fingerprint record revealed she was really Michelle Klug. Once again, the Massey clan was free and on the run.
They might be in their mind a Jesse James or Bonnie and Clyde, but they're still amateurs.
Both Jesse James and Bonnie and Clyde, they fought it out with the cops. I've never seen anything these Massey boys do but run.
Police say the brothers were running again on October 22nd when police in Atlanta chased a stolen 300ZX, but they got away, so keep an eye out for them. John Massey usually wears a thin mustache. He's known as a ladies' man, but he seems to have settled down with Michelle Yvonne Klug. Their baby Cody's 3 months old now. Roy Bubba Massey's a bodybuilder. He spends a lot of time in health clubs, but he likes to smoke Marlboro Reds. If you've seen the Massey brothers, be careful and call 1-800-CRIME-91. Later on in the hour, we'll talk to Oprah Winfrey about her fight to save the children. But first, stay tuned for the chilling confession of a child abuser.
This isn't finished. Patrick, you lied to me.
Patrick! You ever finish one thing without me busting your head in? Or you gonna amount to anything?
11-year-old Patrick Johnson was timid and shy. He didn't have much self-esteem, and he was constantly apologizing. He'd even apologized when he had to use the bathroom. Then a relative noticed bruises, and it all came together. The telltale signs of child abuse. Before authorities could intervene, Patrick's stepfather, Donald Fletcher, packed the family up and left the state. They moved to Arizona and stayed there just long enough for school nurses to notice the bruises on Patrick and his brothers. Before they could do anything to help the boys, Fletcher packed the family up again and moved. Summer of 1990. The Fletcher's newest home, Sweeney, Texas.
You boys are slow.
But Daddy, there's fire ants.
I better not find one weed left when you're finished.
Yes, Daddy.
A demanding parent and strict disciplinarian, Fletcher often left work early just to check up on the boys, make sure their daily chores were done to his rigid standards.
Hey, Patrick, want some help? It won't take me any time.
Oh, no. I gotta earn my way.
Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher? I'm Patrick's teacher, so nice to meet both of you.
Thank you. I want you to know we place the highest emphasis on a child's education.
Oh, well, that's really encouraging to hear. You know, when parents are
Education
involved
is the most important factor in a child's future.
You know, Patrick is such a nice boy, so well-behaved.
You watch him. Boy's a manipulator. He's lazy.
Oh, beg your pardon. I've never had a problem with him at all.
Boy needs more homework. You're too easy on him.
Well, I think we give what's
That's what's the matter with this country. No challenge, no discipline. Schools are a joke.
But
that's why America can't compete. We are raising a crop of intellectual worms here.
Well, it was nice meeting both of you. I'm sure I'll see you again.
Sure you will.
Fletcher wrote sophisticated computer programs for a medical software company.
Well up to a point, Bert.
To his employers, he was a brilliant engineer. To his stepsons, an unbearable tyrant.
You got that, Bert? Yeah. Bert, let me call you back in just a minute. Yeah, something's come up. Give me just a second. What are you doing without your glasses on? Get up here. Get up here. You stand up straight when I'm talking to you. I told you to keep those glasses on. What do you think you're trying to do?
They hurt me. I want them off.
Honey, it's not that big a deal.
We have been through this before. Why aren't you getting your homework?
I'm tired.
Patrick, I don't get it. Are you committed to failure? You disgust me. All right. You're too tired to get your homework. You're too tired to eat. Go to your room. Go to your room.
Police say the punishment didn't stop there. Fletcher continued his brand of discipline by sending Patrick to school with an empty lunchbox.
Patrick, what are you having for lunch?
Some stuff.
What is it?
Some ravioli and green beans.
Messy? Patrick? Patrick, there's nothing in here.
Just don't tell my father. Just pretend like I had something to eat, okay?
Don Fletcher is the most gutless coward that I've ever encountered. He wants to prey on people that are smaller than him. I've never encountered an instance in the course of our investigation where he ever picked on anybody his own size. To give you an example, he would physically box with the children as a form of punishment.
I told you boys 20 times before, no toys in the house. You're about to learn a simple lesson in life.
Will you stop that?
This is going to be the longest 3 minutes of your young lives.
I'm gonna tell!
Shut up! Get him up! Come on! Come on! Get the gloves up! Get the gloves up! Take the... All right, good! Come on, you want to be a man? You want to be a man?
Patrick took upon himself the role of being the protector of everybody else in the family, even if it meant that he was going to die. And I think he knew he was going to die.
A trip to the optometrist triggered another headache for Fletcher and another round of abuse for Patrick.
You got a 2-cent brain and you need $100 worth of glasses. God, my head is killing me. Here, dimwit, see if you can open that.
Patrick, have you finished your homework?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it? This isn't finished. Patrick, you lied to me.
Patrick! You ever finish one thing without me busting your head in?
I'm tired. I'll do it later.
Donald Fletcher was 280 pounds. Patrick was 70 pounds.
Are you going to amount to anything? Are you going to dig ditches the rest of your life?
Doesn't matter as long as I don't have to look at your ugly face.
The very sickening thing about this is that Lucille Fletcher couldn't have cared less.
Are you sassing your father?
This is the man who premeditatedly, repeatedly abused a child.
You're not my father. I wish you would die.
You're going to need some discipline, boy.
Don't touch me.
This 280-pound man started to beat him about the head and face. All Patrick did was try to avoid and survive.
You gonna sass me
He
now?
hit his head up against the wall and then he fell to the floor. He got up again. Mr. Fletcher hit him again. His brain just hit his skull. Don Fletcher is a socially functioning child murderer, and there was no remorse.
Patrick was unconscious and bleeding, but doctors say the Fletchers waited hours before they took him to a hospital. By then, it was too late. As Patrick lay dying, Donald Fletcher gave this chilling statement to police.
And he started yelling at me, and I slapped him a couple more times, open-handed. He was still yelling, so I hit him, doubled up my right fist and hit him on the jaw. It seemed to be kind of okay, but then he just kind of faded out. So we got in the car, took him to the hospital. That's pretty much it.
On July 5th, Donald Fletcher pleaded guilty to child abuse, and he was sentenced to 55 years in prison. But Fletcher convinced a judge to give him 2 weeks to put his affairs in order. Donald and Lucille Fletcher used that time to disappear. Fletcher's good with computers and machines, and he picks things up quickly. He learned to speak Spanish while waiting for his trial. He's a large man who needs medication for high blood pressure. While on the run, police say he's come down with a gout, so he may be limping. Recently, the Fletchers were spotted in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He'd grown a beard and was using the alias John Anderson. The couple was driving an old dark gray Pontiac station wagon. Lucille Fletcher pleaded guilty to failing to protect her son. She was given 5 years probation. Just a week ago, both Lucille and Donald Fletcher were in the San Antonio, Texas area, but they may have moved on by now. If you've seen them, make that phone call, 1-800-CRIME-91. Lucille Fletcher's other 2 sons are with their natural father now, and we wish them our best. We deal with a lot of disturbing cases here at America's Most Wanted, but this one is especially disturbing to me. I'd like to see the partnership work tonight and bring the Fletchers back to justice. We'll be back in a moment with a message from Oprah Winfrey.
And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that angers me more than to hear of a child who's been abused, assaulted, or raped, or murdered by someone who had previous convictions for child abuse.
Last year, there were more than 2.5 million cases of child abuse reported in this country, and that number rises every year. In order to prey on children, abusers have to get near children. That makes a lot of sense. And you know what? We make it really easy for them. Did you know that you can't rub down a sweaty horse at any racetrack in the U.S. without an FBI background check? But yet, you can be a convicted child molester or child murderer and get a job at a daycare center in 44 states. You can never imagine what it's like to be an abused child unless you've been there yourself. Last week, the country heard from a woman who's been there, Oprah Winfrey.
So today I'm here speaking out on behalf of children, the children who wish to be heard, but whose cries, whose wishes, whose hopes often, I believe, fall upon deaf or inattentive ears.
Last Tuesday, Oprah Winfrey testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee for a bill which would create a national registry of convicted child sex abusers.
There is nothing, absolutely nothing that angers me more than to hear of a child who's been abused, assaulted, or raped, or murdered by someone who had previous convictions for child abuse, was able to plea bargain, released, and came out to molest and murder somebody else's child.
That's what happened to 4-year-old Angelica Mina. Police say Michael Howarth raped and murdered Angelica in his Chicago apartment, just 10 feet from where Angelica lived with her mother. Howarth was on the streets after serving only 7 years of a 15-year sentence for 2 counts of kidnapping and child rape.
I wept for that child that I never knew, Angelica. I wept for her because I realized that her muffled cries never reached her mother, who was just on the other side of the apartment, as her 4-year-old was being strangled by a repeated, convicted child molester.
Oprah says Angelica's horrible death shocked her into action. The talk show host startled her audience 5 years ago by disclosing the abuse she suffered as a child. Now she says she's tired of just talking about the problem of child abuse.
For years, I'd done shows about it and talked about it and encouraged other people to do things about it, and I recognized I was one of those people who was, too, just paying lip service.
Oprah's legislation calls for a national computer registry of convicted sex offenders, so daycare centers can run background checks on prospective employees. 6 states already have such a system.
Will Andy get a hug, too? Oh. Him.
Florida set up its registry in 1985 after a daycare worker was convicted of 14 counts of sexual abuse. Now, all prospective daycare workers must agree to a background and fingerprint check.
Last year, we processed over 90,000 such applicant fingerprint cards for caregivers in the state of Florida, and we found on the average about a 10% figure of those who applied had some sort of criminal arrest in their background.
Those checks kept 9,000 convicted offenders out of daycare jobs, but few who applied were sex offenders, police say, because they know of the checks.
I believe that the message that the state of Florida is sending out to people who molest children or abuse children is that we have a system in place that's not going to allow them to enter into our buildings, that we have a way to screen them out, and by virtue of this particular screening process, they don't even get into the front door.
Since the death of my son Adam 10 years ago, I've been fighting for legislation to protect kids. Getting the FBI to list missing kids in its computer was a major victory. I was proud to join Oprah on her new initiative to protect our children from sex offenders.
We did a guy on America's Most Wanted by the name of Teddy Unterreiner. He had been convicted of molestation in Colorado in 1975. Who did he work with? Kids. He was a volunteer, he was a Boy Scout assistant, he was a big brother.
After the hearings, I spoke with Oprah. Surprisingly, she told me she was nervous in her new role as a child advocate.
Well, interestingly enough, talking to millions of people every day, I never get nervous, but I was a little nervous at first.
A lot of people today talked about your courage as an abused person, as an abused child coming forward. I just wanted to say personally, it takes a lot of courage to take it farther than that, and you can be a very loud, strong voice for children. You proved it today.
I hope to be. I hope to be. I was tired, you know, John, of just talking about it And I'm proud of myself that I did something.
Absolutely.
Oprah says she can't get this bill passed alone, and I know how true that is. We usually ask you to pick up the phone if you've seen a fugitive. I know that's a rare event for most of you, but everyone can get involved in Oprah's fight to keep sex offenders away from our kids. So write to your senator and your congressman. Let them know how you feel, or call our hotline for information on how to do it. We'll be back with more in a moment, so stay with us. Now let's take another look at tonight's fugitives. Ricky Dale Brox, the convicted killer who escaped from a North Carolina prison. Police in 3 states are after John Lee Massey. They say he ran a theft ring with his brother. Roy Massey is charged with crashing through police roadblocks and attempted murder of a police officer. Donald Gary Fletcher is the man who pleaded guilty to beating his stepson. Next week, have a very happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm John Walsh, and we'll see you then.
Tomorrow night, you won't just be watching television, you'll be watching Bundy Vision, when Al Bundy hosts Fox Saturday Night, beginning with Cops and followed by Charlie Hoover and Get a Life. Later tonight, special guest Mayim Bialik surprises an unsuspecting fan on an all-new Totally Hidden video. Now stay tuned for the best of the worst, next.
Security Pacific Bank in La Habra, California. Police didn't know the name of the gunman who walked in that morning, but a string of robberies had made his disguise and MO all too familiar. A cold attitude and a female wig had become trademarks of Stephen Moreland Red.
Freeze! Please move away from there. Now! You, get up. I want to see your hands. Give me all your money. Now! I'm not kidding! Turn around! Yo, turn around! You think I'm joking over here? Move it! Won't anybody move? Where's the teller that was at this window? You want me to pop a customer? You tellers are becoming an endangered species. Turn around!
His MO was unique in that he was one individual who came in and took down the whole bank.
Don't be looking at me. Don't move. Don't go out there, folks. It's dangerous outside.
And the alarm came into the dispatchers, and 2 of our patrol people, Sergeant Tom Machado and Corporal Jack Reese, were having coffee at a coffee shop that was about a block away from Security Pacific Bank. And they came down the street and parked. Corporal Jack Reese followed him through an alley and over by an apartment complex.
Oh, please!
Chase, which covered over 50 miles. A chopper from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office soon joined the pursuit.
Nice response time, guys.
Turn around now. Turn around now.
Hey, who's going to read me my rights?
Get on your knees. On your knees. On your stomach. Get on your stomach. Right,
Red knew a lot about arrest procedures. His 6 years as a Los Angeles deputy sheriff taught him well before erratic behavior ended his career. Then after failing in the construction business, Red applied his police skills to a life of crime.
Hi, guys.
6 counts of robbery and wounding a police officer earned Red an 18-year sentence in state prison.
He got involved in boxing and became the best over 40 boxer in the prison. And using that reputation, he was able to get through prison okay.
Where'd you learn how to box?
The academy.
Oh, you go to West Point with Eisenhower?
LA Sheriff's Academy.
You a cop?
Was one a long time ago. Hitting hard now.
Many guys in here would kill you just on principle.
I guess you're not one of them.
Stephen Red has always been a fighter. He even tried to break out of prison, but a bullet to the shoulder stopped him cold. Red was paroled in April 1993 after serving 11 years. He failed at one job after another, and police say he was soon back to his old tricks, armed robbery. According to police, his first target was a drugstore at a shopping center in Orange County. 2 months later, on May 31st, 1994, they say he returned, wearing his trademark disguise and acting crazy.
Hey, did you want a card? What are you doing? They don't have any double coupons in there. Not smart. Give it back. Valley girls!
Police believe Red was trying to discourage customers, keep the store empty before he made his move. But his antics led the manager to call security.
God, I think I'm in love with you.
What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything.
Why don't you relax? You got any idea you can show me?
I'm not doing anything. No, I don't have any ID, all right? Leave me alone!
The unarmed security guard was shot in the shoulder. Red slipped out of the parking lot.
Got a man down. Suspect's going down the alley. Please send him back. Hurry.
Minutes later, 2 young men saw Red running through an apartment complex toward his car. Thinking they'd spotted a burglar, they gave chase.
Look at that car. We can stick with them all night long.
Hey, get it, license.
What are you doing, man?
My tire's bald. It ain't worth cracking up my car.
Yeah.
The chase wasn't in vain because the 2 witnesses were able to get the license plate number. That led police to Stephen Red's apartment. Inside, they found an arsenal of weapons and an order form for books on how to make rockets, bazookas, and bombs. Alarmed detectives began an intensive search for Red, but he successfully hid out until the night of July 18, 1994. That night, manager Tim McVeigh and a checkout clerk we'll call Jane took their normal dinner break together in the storeroom of a Yorba Linda supermarket.
When you get married, I'm not bringing you dinner anymore.
But just because I'm getting married, I don't get any more leftover meatloaf sandwiches? I thought you were my friend.
I am, but she'll be your wife. You better like her meatloaf better.
Tim and I always worked at 4 to midnight. Our regular routine till 10 o'clock as our last checker went home. After she left, it was just Tim and I in the store.
Jane, I have to go back to the stockroom. I'll be right back.
Okay.
As he left to the back, a man came in and scared me right away. He had a wig on that did not look like normal hair.
$0.79?
I guess you'll have to break that.
I remember looking at his waist to see if I could see a gun because he was so... there was so much scariness to him.
Tim!
Hey!
Please, please don't.
I don't know why he didn't shoot. I didn't know what else to say, and he just turned and left. I fight the fact that Tim died because of me calling. It's been hard. It was hard to be the one left standing. It almost would have been easier for me if he would have just shot me too, not to have to deal with this.
Last week, the Beverly Hills Police Department called us and asked for our help in solving a brutal crime. The trail for a killer has gone cold, and all they need is a tip from you to put them back on the right track. Its zip code is 90210, Beverly Hills, California, one of the world's most affluent communities. And it was here 2 months ago that Denny Pleasy, a 38-year veteran of the Brinks Armored Division, was robbed and gunned down. He was a husband, a father, and a grandfather.
My father was one of the greatest people in the world. He had 7 granddaughters, and he loved all of them just the same, whether they were grouchy or in a good mood. I think he even liked them even when they were the grouchiest the best, because they would climb up into his chair and want to be hugged and kissed, and Grandpa was always there. He wasn't always very cautious. My mom was always having to tell him to watch your backside, honey, you know, keep an eye out, listen for what's going on around you. And my dad had told me that, you know, his time was short and that I would have to take care of my mom someday, and that the robberies have been getting a little bit more, the robbers have been more brazen, more bold. And I told my dad to protect himself, you know, do something to protect yourself, Dad, you know, wear a bulletproof vest, you know, do something. And he told me that that's not the way he would be going.
Last August, weeks after Denny Pleasy returned from summer vacation, he went back to work. And on September 6th, he started his day like any other.
He was in a happy mood. He had just spent a weekend with his wife and his grandchildren. He loved his family very much, and we suspected nothing. We pulled up to our usual stop, Manufacturers Bank in Beverly Hills.
Mr. Please got out of the armored car. He went into the bank in order to get admitted into the bank to make his deposit there. At that point, he was confronted by a man who he never even saw, a man that walked up behind him as he's waiting to be led into the bank, and a man who shot him in the back of the head and killed him.
Well, shortly thereafter, a Hispanic lady came out and started speaking Spanish, which I do not speak, and I told her I tried a motion that I didn't understand. She went like this. I immediately hit the siren and alarms in the truck. Beverly Hills Police responded in 30 seconds. One ran to the door and opened the door and reported a man down.
60-year-old Denny Pleasy died at the scene of the crime. A witness who saw the shooter helped create this composite drawing. The crime was reported on television. Then police got a break when this man came forward with new information. He'd seen the shooter just a week earlier in the bank lobby.
It was a week prior to the shooting when I was walking in the building and I noticed two individuals standing there. I thought it was funny that they had stopped talking immediately as I entered the building. When I saw the crime a week later on television, I realized it was the same two individuals I had seen. So I notified Beverly Hills Police immediately and gave them the second composite of the individuals.
He recognized this composite. Police now believe this similar-looking composite could be a second suspect.
It was a tragedy the way it happened. It should not have happened. It's an unfortunate situation. The people that did this kind of a crime planned it, anticipated what was going to happen, and they did it.
I can't believe that they would shoot down my dad for such a little amount of money when he would have just handed over the bag. And they shot down my dad, my children's grandfathers, my mother's husband, and it's someone that we can never, ever replace.
The cold-blooded murder of a loving father and a hard-working man is always hard to deal with. That family needs your help. So please take a close look at the few clues the Beverly Hills Police have to go on. Police say this composite is of the shooter. He appears to be Caucasian in his mid-30s, 5'9" to 5'10", medium build, with a long, narrow face, neatly styled dark hair, dark mustache. Police say he blended into the neighborhood. The accomplice, also in his 30s, 5'8", 180 pounds, stocky build. He appears to be of either Hispanic or Middle Eastern descent, with dark straight hair, large dark mustache, and dark thick eyebrows. Both men were seen wearing long-sleeved white dress shirts, dark ties, black pants. If you recognize these men or have any information about this crime, please call us now, 1-800-CRIME-TV. Your tips can help us put two killers behind bars. There's one other clue police have to go on. The robbers got away with a Brinks bag just like this one. They probably disposed of it somewhere. So if you know anything about this crime, make that call. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I was just trying to be nice to him. And Beverly, just letting him use my phone.
Sure, it's over there on the chair.
Opening the door to one of America's most wanted.
If our justice system worked better, I wouldn't be telling you about Timothy Pay. In 1982, Pay was convicted here in California of sexually abusing a minor, then spent just 4 months in jail. 2 years ago, Pay was charged in Buffalo, New York with sexual contact with a child. That case is still pending. 6 months later, Pay became a suspect in a brutal rape in Buffalo. That's when he skipped town.
Would you try walking in a straight line for me, keeping one foot in front of the other?
Pay resurfaced this spring in Chico, California, when he was arrested for drunk driving. He could have been sent back to Buffalo, but authorities there decided not to seek extradition. Pay was released. Last July, Chico police arrested Pay again, this time for trying to break into a young woman's apartment, but the charge was reduced to a misdemeanor. Pay walked out of custody on July 13th. The next afternoon, police say Pay was cruising the quiet streets of Chico. college student we'll call Sarah, was working in town that summer to raise money for her senior year at Chico State.
I had just gotten back home from work in the grocery store and had gone to go pick up my mail.
Hi. Looks like you got your hands full. You live here?
Yes.
So does a friend of mine. Her name's Nancy, I'm terrible with last names, and I don't remember what unit. You know any Nancys here?
No, sorry.
Thanks anyway.
Sure. He seemed like a nice person. He was very friendly.
Coming! Who is it?
Hi again. I really could use some help here. I can't find Nancy's apartment, but I have a phone number. Think I could use your phone and give her a quick call? Won't take more than a minute.
Sure, it's over there on the chair.
Thanks.
I was just trying to be nice to him. I had no idea who he was. And I was, you know, being neighborly and letting him use my phone and...
It's dead. There's no telephone.
That's weird. It was working this morning. It's fine.
I heard about a party tonight. Wanna go?
I can't. I have a lot to do.
That's what I figured.
I'd like you to leave. What are you doing?
I want to party tonight with you.
Get out of here!
Shut up!
I was trying to fight him off. He was hitting me on my face. It was mostly the left side of my face. It was just pounding. And then he was choking me at the same time and smothering me with pillows. The more I fought him off, the more he hit me and beat me and was choking me and then I was unconscious through the rest of it. I don't remember being raped at all, but when I got to the hospital and they did the tests, I knew for sure.
I got a friend outside with a gun. You better stay here at least 5 minutes.
I was afraid to get out of the closet at first. And when I finally did get out of the closet, I mean, the first thing I did was go lock the door. And then I called the police, and then they were there within a matter of a few minutes. He punched me in the face. My eye was swollen. For about 2 or 3 days, it was swollen shut. The whole side of my face was swollen on the left side. I had marks on my throat. They're still there.
I have no idea why Timothy Pay beat her like that. As I said, she cooperated with his demands as best she could, but he still beat her.
Just 4 hours later, police say Pay was on the hunt for another victim. She was also brutally raped. When Sarah ID'd Pay, police asked for an arrest warrant. Because of Pay's record, bail was set at $1 million.
Yeah, you sure?
These are the mugshots police showed Sarah. Although police were unable to track him down, Pay turned himself in after the Chico Enterprise Record put his photo on the front page. Pay's defense attorney requested an in-person lineup, another ordeal for Sarah.
During the lineup, he had a smirk on his face. Just unbelievable how he could have a smirk on his face because of what he did. It just made me very upset.
Deputy District Attorney Robert Saria took the case at the arraignment. but neither Saria nor the judge were aware the arrest warrant specified a $1 million bail.
Any recommendations on bail, counsel?
Your Honor, in this instance, given the nature of the charges and the fact that the defendant has no steady source of income, I recommend bail be set at $100,000.
Granted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Robert Saria thought $100,000 would keep Pay behind bars. 2 days later, he was in for a shock.
We did not know that he had a brother out of state who was a physician who had access to that kind of cash and could actually get 10% bond or $100,000 in property. We then immediately filed papers in the municipal court asking the judge to reevaluate the bail and deny him bail based upon showing that he was a danger to society. He did not appear 2 weeks later for his court appearance, so Timothy Pay is now on the streets and women are in danger. I feel responsible. I evaluate cases differently than I did because of Timothy Pay.
I was very upset at the law enforcement and this criminal system because they allowed something like this to happen because of a mistake. I'm afraid. I don't like to go out at dark by myself. I just want to get him caught and put back where he belongs.
Timothy Pay is charged with 2 counts of rape, sexual abuse, and contempt of court. Timothy Pay seems to think he's above the law, but I don't think so. Tonight, let's give him a reality check. And when he's caught this time, there'll be no bail. Pay sometimes lives off of girlfriends. When he does work, it's usually in a fast food restaurant. He makes friends easily. Police say Pay's a smooth talker. That's what catches his victims off guard.
He obviously comes across nice and obtains their trust and then beats them and rapes them.
Please, don't let it happen to another woman. You know where Timothy Pay is tonight. Call our hotline. The number's 1-800-CRIME-TV. And remember, you don't have to tell us your name. Now, here's an update on some of our recent cases. You spotted Smash Wooten in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Police say Wooten was part of a gang shootout that killed a 7-year-old girl.
They were, of course, scared, so they were panicking, they were screaming. Some were crying. One of the children had said, "She's bleeding," and at that point she just collapsed.
He's still on the run, maybe traveling to Connecticut or New York. So tonight, a special alert to our viewers in those areas. There's also new information on Christopher Goins, charged in Richmond, Virginia, with the brutal slaying of a man, his wife, and 3 of their children.
He walked into the room, point-blank range, just started to shoot.
Look closely. This is the girlfriend police believe Goins is traveling with. Her name is Monique Littlejohn. She's charged with a series of drug crimes of her own, and she could lead police to Goins. If you've seen them, you know what to do. We also profiled James Stromer, a brilliant college professor convicted of raping 2 young students. He broke out of prison in North Carolina.
There's so many things I wish I could say that we never got to say to each other, and I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to talk to him again or ever see him again.
You called in a lot of tips, but Stromer managed to hide from the manhunt. Here are new pictures of Stromer. Take a good look. If you've seen him, call 1-800-CRIME-TV. Now, there's a child out there who needs your help tonight, so please watch closely this week's Missing Child Alert.
6-year-old Michael Anthony Hughes was kidnapped from Choctaw, Oklahoma on Monday, September 12th. Police say witnesses saw this man, Franklin Floyd, abduct Michael at gunpoint from the Indian Meridian Elementary School. Floyd was arrested this Thursday in Louisville, Kentucky. He claims he had nothing to do with Michael's kidnapping and doesn't know the boy's whereabouts. The FBI and police are checking every lead from Oklahoma to Kentucky to find Michael Hughes. If you've seen Michael, call 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Child molesters and rapists are very often repeat offenders. There are programs all across the country to try and help them, from counseling and therapy to hormone treatments. But the truth is, many of them just don't work. Now a controversial idea is being suggested by the sex offenders themselves. Surgical castration. That's right, castration. It's an age-old concept, and on the surface, it may sound like a good idea. But as our correspondent Lena Nozizwe found out, castration may be a double-edged sword. And I want to warn you, this story is not suitable for younger viewers.
I was very sexual as a child. The first time I ever forcibly made somebody do something sexual, I was 8 or 9 years old. I had a hammer in my hand. I just threatened.
Paul Redondo Gonzalez grew up to be the kind of criminal that's America's most hated, both inside and out of prison. A sexual predator who targets the most defenseless victims, children.
How many children have you molested?
Too many to remember.
How many children have you raped? You have to think about it.
There's only 3 or 4 of those. It's just whether, I'm just hesitant to say so. It's just, it's not like to think about.
But he has plenty of time to think about it in his jail cell in Midland, Texas, where he's locked up once again, this time for molesting 2 young brothers.
You can't stop.
I can't control it.
Where does this urge come from?
My penis up, my testicles up. It starts down there, and that's got to go, or nothing else is going to help.
The 36-year-old repeat offender believes he's found an answer to his dark obsessions in these headlines, an extreme solution that's been praised in publications ranging from Texas Monthly to The New Yorker. Castration, an unspeakable cure for unspeakable crimes.
I believe it's absolutely necessary. It's to undergo surgical castration. That's the beginning.
Officially, Texas prisons won't allow inmates to be castrated. It's an area fraught with potential litigation and abuses. But Gonzalez joins a handful of the state's imprisoned sex offenders pushing for it anyway. Houston attorney Paul Looney represents 7 other such inmates.
Who want to be castrated, that have been through the therapy process over and over again. They have been unable to control their compulsive disorder.
Compulsive disorders that have driven some offenders to unbelievable lengths.
If you can imagine a person using a broken Coke bottle, a tin can lid, a table knife, to perform surgery on themselves, to remove their testicles, because nobody will make it medically available for them. That's the level of desperation.
What man would do that?
What woman would use a coat hanger to abort a fetus? Desperate people behave in desperate ways.
When it's done professionally, the procedure is relatively quick and simple. A surgeon removes the testicles from the scrotum. They're normally replaced with prosthetics like these.
We need to elect some politicians that have testicles to allow the inmates that need to have theirs removed to access that.
Meet Texas State Senator Teal Bivens. The Republican cattle rancher is pitching a bill that's already died once in committee that would allow repeat offenders to get castrated behind bars.
This is a very emotional issue. It's one that we as, quote, a civilized nation have felt we shouldn't have to look at. What's more barbaric? To allow an innocent child to be molested by someone who we know is going to reoffend, or to allow that offender to undergo treatment so that molestation can be prevented. I think that the crime is far more barbaric than the treatment.
Bivens was inspired to write the bill after seeing impressive studies on castrated sex offenders in European countries most of us would not consider barbaric, including Denmark, where 1,000 men were physically castrated between 1929 and 1970. The reoffense rate was just over 2%, while the reoffense rate for sexual predators is usually more than 50%. So on the surface, it appears to work.
We need to pursue alternatives to incarceration, and this is one that has been demonstrated over many years to work.
It sets a nasty precedent that we start snipping away at human tissue to control behavior. It's like the prefrontal lobotomy operations that began to be used for all sorts of stuff.
Dr. Michael Cox runs a sex abuse treatment program at Baylor College of Medicine in Texas. He is suspect of castration and of the statistics that show it works.
The studies, the old European studies, look on the surface to be very seductive, but I don't trust them on methodological grounds, how the studies were planned and carried out.
So I came to Denmark to find out for myself, to see if the home of Hans Christian Andersen is in fact the home of a miracle cure, or is it a fairy tale?
What we found in Denmark was worse than a fairy tale. It was a nightmare of abuse. It took place here, inside the gray walls of the Herstedvester prison just outside of Copenhagen, where nearly a third of the castrations were performed. Dr. Heidi Hansen is the medical director.
I say what we do in Denmark when we castrate a person, you could compare it to cutting the hands off the thief, but you must include that those hands were used to strangle people with.
But did the voluntary castration go too far? More than 2/3 of the 1,000 castrated men never committed a sex crime.
Included in that number are people who did commit crimes, but even people who fantasize about committing crimes could be castrated.
So you're saying somebody who just thought about sex crimes was castrated?
Yes, they could, and that is why doctors today call it a cabinet of horrors.
How can you justify that?
I will not defend it. I cannot defend it. But at the same time, I want to say it was a different time.
Dr. Hansen's predecessor, Dr. George Stirrup, presided over the castrations at Herstedvester. He was so well known for the operations, an inmate fashioned this caricature of the doctor, complete with medical bag and saw blade. Of the hundreds castrated, Dr. Hansen admits only 21 committed serious sex crimes.
The rest of them committed crimes such as flashing, exhibitionism, homosexuality with somebody who was under 21 at the time.
To be homosexual in Denmark in this time, the police could come to your working place, to your house.
Eric's name is within the cabinet of horrors. His crime was having a long-term relationship with an underage lover.
That's because they say homosexuality was a sickness.
Eric says Dr. Stirrup recommended the castration cure and told him getting the operation was the only way he could get out of prison quickly. Many feel that this is the danger of so-called voluntary castration, that inmates in the U.S. would be forced to go along with the procedure in order to get less prison time. Eric says that's how he felt, so he went ahead with it.
The first I remember, I take my hands down and look, and I scream.
He says the doctor pronounced him healed.
I'm not sick. I have never been sick. And then I think they have murdered me.
For his follow-up, Eric says there was no medicine and no treatment. But 3 months later, he was set free. And because he was never imprisoned again, Dr. Stirrup was able to include him in that impressive list of sex offenders who did not reoffend.
What would you say to Eric?
I don't think I can apologize for the medical world back then, and I think maybe 50 years from now, people will look back on me and say, why did they do that?
Dr. Cox says cases such as Eric show why Denmark's castration statistics are not to be believed.
With that kind of research design, with that kind of motley crew of people castrated, it's hard to kind of ferret out what is working with whom and under what conditions.
The Danish government put an end to the physical castrations in 1970, in part because of the abuses. Denmark still castrates men, but now it's done chemically.
The most decisive advantage of a chemical castration is that it is reversible.
Since 1989, only 15 inmates at Herstedvester have undergone the treatment, which all but eliminates the male hormone. Among them is Ruben, a repeat offender who sexually assaulted 27 women. He now takes a combination of the drugs twice a month.
Very personal question. It's a personal story. What was sex like before and after?
The biggest change is that before I want to have sex 2 times a day. Now I don't care if I get anything.
How often do you think of sex now?
I never think about sex.
Never?
Never.
The 27-year-old former truck driver says he's given away the pornography he's able to buy at the prison store, and he stopped watching the pornographic movies piped in on the prison's TV system.
By the time you're done with an inmate who comes here, you want to send them out asexual, homosexual, heterosexual. What have you created here?
I'd like to reverse the question and say what kind of people are sent here. I hope they're a little bit more normal when they leave here than when they arrived.
Well, what about the U.S.? Well, many politicians are reluctant to get into castrating inmates because they feel it's cruel and unusual punishment. There are also concerns about the potential of abuse.
Right here in Texas, not but a year or two ago, they were talking about population control via castration. Any kind of violent crime, they would use castration, thereby wiping out that part of the population's ability to reproduce. I mean, it began to sound like Germany in the 30s and in the 40s.
Dr. Cox believes a more humane approach is the so-called chemical castration. The drug Depo-Provera is used on a limited basis in his treatment program here in the U.S. It seems like a compromise, but some say it's not enough.
Lowering is not going to do it. I've known people that have been under Depo-Provera and have told me that they've continued their behaviors. I'm not willing to take that risk.
Even without the help of the state, Gonzalez is pursuing the castration. He says all he needs is a doctor and money for the operation.
Are you asking for any kind of deal in return for castration?
None. I've been offered what I've been offered. I've accepted it. I've demanded the castration. I'm fighting for the castration.
I don't think we have the answer. I don't think we have adequate research. I think the prospect of this precedent is frightening to me. It can lead to some outrageous abuses.
When you walk out of prison for the charge you're in for now, and you don't get castrated, what can society expect?
Well, my biggest fear is that nothing will change, and that more than likely there will be more victims in my life.
On Monday, Texas Senator Teal Bivens will be introducing the castration bill at the state legislature. And if it becomes law, offenders like Paul Gonzalez will get their wish. There's more when we come back, so stay with us.